Hey guys, I haven't used my Fat Boy in a long time. I'll do that again today, and we'll see how it works with the old Nacet. Continuing to use that. 489 is going to be the count for today's use for that blade. Going to continue with the sandalwood scent of WSP. And this is the rustic soap base that they have. It's a pretty straightforward sandalwood without a bunch of add-ins, kind of that woody type of sandalwood that I just call kind of an authentic sandalwood. And it's not a strong scent during the shave, but this is an old soap. And even new, I don't think it was super strong, but it's really enjoyable, similar to the red from Perazzo, but it's got better performance, in my opinion. The Fat Boy, of course, we mentioned that. Let's try a 7 setting today, because I do need to use this old blade at a higher setting than usual. The brush we'll go for is the same one as yesterday, because we're using the soap again, and I'm curious. Let's change the load time and see if we get a good lather, because yesterday was about 28 seconds, and I got 3 more passes of lather than I needed. I got lots and lots of lather. And this time, though, it's got a little bit of moisture carryover from yesterday. Yesterday, I hadn't used this soap in a few years, probably. And so, I'll bet the 20 seconds is going to be just fine. Now, while I kind of get everything ready, I'm going to put this back in the water so that I'm able to and start with the right amount of water. I shake it out, before, as we know. All right, so this is a small tub. A lot of the other tubs are another, 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and so this does tend to, if you want to scoop, you can do that, or if you just don't mind getting a little messy, or then you can do that if you like to have less water in your brush than I do. Then there's less mess. Sometimes it takes longer to load, that sort of thing. But with a smaller container, it might be worth it. All right, let me get my face wet. And let's go ahead and take time now to load the blade. Identifying marks toward the handle. Is what I'm doing with this blade. I don't do it with any other blade. I just kind of randomly let it flip-flop. But I'm curious. Not only is this blade going for a super long time, but it's doing it on only one side. What if that's one of the secrets? I don't know. All right. So, I'm going to take the brush out of the water now, and we've got a good bit of water in there, so I'm going to shake most of it out until, as you can see, the droplets start slowing down. I think maybe I went too far with shaking water out last time, and so maybe I didn't go this far this time. So let's try that 20 seconds. So we'll go from 30 to 50. Like I mentioned last time, these metal tubs are more environmentally friendly than the plastic ones. They can be. They can be recycled. They can just rust, in a landfill where the plastic ones won't. I'm going to rinse this off. So in terms of looking at the brush, yeah, you can definitely see it's absorbed some soap. It's picked up some soap from the puck, but we're definitely not dealing with a lot of extra water, that sort of thing. It's neither good nor bad, just illustrating it. Now right away we can see that kind of early pastiness will start up. You can choose to work it for a little bit while you're in that stage. I've never done an experiment to, try to figure out if it's better to add water at this point or to keep kind of working it as a paste. And you can see how firm the lather is at this point. It's just waiting on some water. judging from what I see, I'm going to have plenty of lather today. And I used a good bit of water last time, but that was justified because I did have a lot of lather. I think it's 24 milliliters of water. So why don't we just start by, you know, adding a good amount in the beginning. Looks like maybe 16, 17 milliliters, but we'll add more if we need to. Probably will need to. I'll bet this is a soap base that is fine with you adding water up front. You know, most of them don't mind. Listening to your lather as you go is another cue that can help you with your water and knowing when to stop hydrating. Visually, you can look at that texture of that lather inside there. See how creamy it looks? We're not dealing with a bunch of, you know, peaks and valleys. I can make a peak right there if I want, but it's really just kind of one, maybe two. And we don't have sharp edges on the ridges, very few ridges. But if you listen, you can pick up the way if you use the same brush, because the brush will change the sound. If you use the same brush consistently, you'll hear it sometimes sounding dry, and then you know you need to keep adding water. And then eventually when it starts to get a nice wet consistency, then you'll hear that muffled sound instead of what you were hearing before. And sometimes I will sense, feeling-wise, almost like a suction effect as I'm doing these circles like this with the brush. Usually that means I'm at a certain stage, a normal stage in the lather's life, and it just needs a little bit more water. And I pull the brush out, and you can see we've still got soap lather up on the walls there. It's still got some firmness to it. It's not coming down like a heavy, almost like marshmallow cream, but with more density, with more heaviness to it, with the visual look of marshmallow cream, but with a little bit more weight to it. That's what I like to look for. So I'm going to keep adding water. This, I believe, is a vegan soap base. And it, as proof from yesterday, works quite well. I was able to push a lot of water into it and get a very, very nice slickness. Pretty good residual slickness as a bonus. But then it had a nice creamy feel to it while having that great slickness. Let's see how today goes. Let's do the drop test, like I so often do. We've still got a lot of lather today. Oh, this looks even more loose than yesterday. Look at that long bit there. And it wiggles. Does it move down? Yep. So we saw that yesterday as well. Let's go ahead and use this. Now you probably see there's some bubbles, a few larger bubbles in there. I'm not concerned about that at all. You can sometimes do some extra mixing and get rid of those but that just doesn't bother me one bit. This, because I know I can feel the hydration of this, and I know that those are not indicative in general of the hydration that we have in the lather. It's not airy, you know, that's not an airy kind of bubble. All right, get my face wet again with just a kind of a splash of water. And then here we go. This is a big brush. Sometimes I rake the extra off of this brush back into the bowl just so it doesn't go down the drain, because the brush here brings so much lather up to my face that I don't really need it all. In case I didn't mention it, working on about a 1.5 day growth this time. Looks like I could still have added some more water if I wanted to. The sound of the brush on your face as well can educate you as to your lather condition. It is very different though on the first pass when you're working on lots of stubble, you know. In my case, a 1.5 days, it is going to sound different than just a normal 1 day growth because of the extra time, to allow the length to increase just a bit more. It does make quite a difference. I'm really curious. I don't know if the razor here is going to be a hit or a miss. And what I'm actually going to do, let's clock it up to 9, just for fun. I never shave with a 9 on a fresh blade or a reasonably fresh blade. It's just not comfortable for me. It's just too much blade feel, too much aggression, and I just don't enjoy that. And I like to stay more on a 2 or a 3. I get great comfort, but I still get really close shaves. So we'll see how the 9, now, you know, there are some people where the 9 is not harsh enough for them. They like it even more aggressive than that. I think some people who have more pasty lather preferences than I do might like the higher settings because they've got a thicker lather to try to dig through. I feel the extra blade feel, but it's not a bad type feeling. If it were to continue the whole time, then I wouldn't be surprised if I did get a tiny feeling of a very light irritation building up by the end. We'll just see. And a little splash of water now. And we loaded up the brush. Ready to go. Take a little bit extra time because I enjoy the feel of this brush quite a bit. Should we keep going on with a 9? Yeah, because that'll tell me more about the razor. I'm not riding the cap. I rode it just a little in a kind of a cautious way in the first pass. And yeah, I'm getting decent residual slickness up here on my cheeks. Now that I've done my, cheeks and then the neck, going back up here, I feel like I'm okay a little bit, but I don't feel a lot of residual slickness up here. I think maybe my mixture here is a little drier than yesterday, actually. Water splash now. Ah, I can feel that stubble going away. Sorry. I still have a load of lather in the bowl. This is totally an unneeded amount of lather for one shave right here, but I've got it to waste. Let's keep going with the 9 setting on the razor, just to see if at the end of the shave I can feel a little bit of tenderness, or if that 9 works really well with this blade. Oh, now that feels really good. It feels like that second pass there was very effective. Always keeping in mind a light touch. If you're new, then go slow. I'm able to go fast because I've done this a lot. All right, very good. Now, sometimes if you need a little bit of touch up and you don't want to reach into your bowl and get a lather, or maybe you don't have a bowl, wet your fingertips a little bit and just kind of rub it on your face. And a lot of times that will kind of wake up a little bit of the soap that may have dried out just a little bit on your face, and give you enough to take care of the touch-ups you need. This is actually giving me a pretty good shave. I'm happy with the closeness already, and knowing that if any more gets taken off, then that's just going to put me in a good place. So it would seem that the legendary Fat Boy is going to work well with this blade at this age. He definitely participated when the blade was younger than it is now. It's just so funny how that works. Oh yeah, this just feels like such a smoothly shaven cheek right now. It almost resembles the end of a more normal shave. So the question, I think, will be, what kind of feel does my face come away with by the end? Yeah, even down here on my neck, I'm gonna switch and do a little bit more. It's cross grain, but it's got a slide against the grain nature to it. You just feel free to experiment with your angles. You don't have to do pure cross grain. You could do part cross grain, part against the grain. You don't have to do against the grain. You could, do a combo, a slight angle off of the full-on cross grain. And sometimes, with me at least, it's really quite effective and a lot more comfortable. Well, time for closer inspection, but honestly, I kind of think I'm done. In terms of the scent, there is just a light sandalwood scent, kind of wafting around, present as a part of the shave, but it's not going to knock anybody over at all. Just kind of light, but I do enjoy what I'm getting out of it. Nice cool water rinse at the end of the shave. We are getting into that season after all, and my face does not feel any tenderness or anything like that, at least at the moment. Sometimes there's a little that sneaks in later, but honestly, I don't really see that coming. Whew, I did not need to load for that long. We've got 4 at least 4 passes of lather right here in the bowl still. That was a ton of soap pulled out of that tub onto the brush, as it turns out. How about that? And it worked very well. Let's see what kind of slickness we're dealing with here. Not super creamy, but kind of medium. I'm happy with that level of creaminess. It's very hydrated. Not a whole lot of cushion, but honestly, I think cushion might just be kind of a myth, or just some kind of metric that doesn't really translate into too much, you know. In a way, I think cushion may relate to density, and I think actually a lot of times I don't want a dense lather. If it's dense because it's got water in it, that's different. But then a lot of times that's it shows itself off more in a loose way instead of, you know, most people, I think when they talk about dense, they're talking about like that blob that might drop down into the bowl. It might sit there and stay, you know, and keep its shape. Maybe even be kind of strong and you know, dense, yeah, you know. And I think that really kind of translates into being dry. And I am not a fan of that, as you regular users know. So just cleaning out the brush, and I'm going to use warm water, because since this is dense and the water's actually kind of cold, then I want to make sure the center of that knot gets a really good rinsing. And I've just noticed that using a little bit of warm to come into with the cold to bring it up to tepid will just make rinsing quicker. Cold will still do it, just takes longer in my experience. So what I like to do, as a reminder, in case you guys, because I don't show this off very much, as I think a lot of you guys might do, I just hold the brush firmly like this, and I'll twist my wrist, but with my arm pointed down into the sink, and just kind of flop it up back and forth and shake out any of the excess amounts of water droplets, that sort of thing. And then a quick work on the towel now. And there we go. And I don't know if I haven't shown you this time, but just the beautiful work by Briar Brushworks did this, the wood part. It's got this wonderful dark stain. It's almost got a reddish or a purpley, you know, brown nature to it. It's gorgeous. And then the Dogwood Handcrafts, Stephen over there, did the handle. Just terrific. And that works out to be one of my favorite all-time knots of all time. It really may be, I'm pretty sure it's my favorite. The top. So how much water did that take today? Ooh, something around 27, something like that. That's a good bit, but as you saw, we still ended up with a ton of lather. I think that little bit of residual water from yesterday went a long way to making it easy for me to pull soap up off of the puck. So not only did I need to shave off 8 seconds from the load time, probably needed to shave off maybe 18, something like that, at least 15. All right, that's today. The Nacet just did surprisingly well here at this high setting. Might be interested maybe in trying an 8 tomorrow and see if it's still as effective, while probably being maybe a little bit more comfortable. I definitely felt the blade, but it was, you know, as you would expect from an old one, it was just more smoothed out. So I'm going to open that up, let it breathe a little bit. I gave it a quick rinse in there, and then we'll just let that rest for a little bit. All right, I think that's today's shave. Oh, except for the splash. What are we going to do today? You know what? I enjoyed that Seville yesterday, so let's do that again. Barrister and Mann Seville. They are, I just noticed on their website today, they have a new look, I guess, for the omnibus soaps. He redid his labels for, I know, like Cheshire and, you know, a lot of his standard products. It's a more modern look. I think I probably like the old way better, but maybe when you're an old fogey like me, that's just what always is going to happen. I like the old way better. It's, but there we go. So, Seville. And I'm happy with that. Hope there was something here in this shave that helped you out. And we are marching along, so 489 uses now with the Nacet blade. Tomorrow will be 490, and that's kind of a little mini milestone, I guess. All right then, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys, take care.